Respected Dr. Sanjay Chahande, respected Sri Rajgopal Devra, Principal Secretary, Finance Department, Government of Maharashtra, other dignitaries on the dais, invited guests, friends. Let me first thank ELATES for setting up this great event on discussing financial inclusion through innovation in physical and digital services, reaching citizens at the last mile through phygital. Basically, why do we need financial inclusion? Many times when we make such statement that financial inclusion, it also means that it is unequally good. It is the ultimate thing on earth and everyone needs to do it. Why it needs to, if people are not financially included, what happens to them? Unless we understand that, we will continue to not look at the basics and move into different directions. So the fundamental question which comes to my mind, and financial inclusion as a theme is almost now 18 years old in India, that we have been talking about financial inclusion, and we have been talking about a lot of other things. Like today, there is another news, of course everyone talked about news. One of the interesting news since last 2 days that is coming is that the electricity, which was supposed to improve people's life and people's earning capacity and everything, is not supposed to be as good as it was made to be believed. So basically, it happened to telecom also, where India was poor, which it still is in a per capita term. But say 20 years back, 30 years back, it used to be said that if we get everyone to have telephone, India's per capita GDP will increase by 2% year on year for next 100 years or something. Similarly, if everyone had the bank accounts, it will increase. And everywhere, electricity, if it was there, again it will increase. Of course, Indian government is trying hard to get everyone to have electricity at their home. And I have been told probably this month, all the homes which require electricity to be connected will be connected. So that's a kudos to all the administrators who have been sitting here and elsewhere working in India to get all these things done. But effectively, financial inclusion is one such situation where we tom-tom it a lot, and when it happens, we don't even bother. One of the first backbone or the base was created by Aadhaar. Aadhaar name is base. And for me, today, Aadhaar in some ways is the most advanced identification system in the world. I meet people from China. We look up to China now for all inclusion and other things. But I meet people from China, the top fintech people. I meet top fintech people from US. None of those countries have something which we have, that is Aadhaar. And we should all be proud of, and I think we should give a big hand to people who have worked on it. That is basically why Aadhaar is so much more important, is because it sets up the base of any transaction, that is identification. If you do not know who that person is, then you can't do even credit score, which CIBIL would do. You won't be able to transfer money. You won't be able to do any activity at all. And that's when you do things on bearer basis. That's the cash part. And that is where I think a tremendous progress in a very short time India has achieved. For me, India missed out on industrial revolution. In 1630s, 1650s, when Britishers started actually taking over India, India's GDP as a percentage of world GDP was around 27-28%. When Britishers left, we became 2% of world GDP. In that 1650 to 1950, 300 years, of course we were subjugated, and they ended up sucking a lot of wealth. But more importantly, we also did not participate in the industrial revolution, which they did. They basically became larger to some extent by sort of exploiting us, but to a large extent by participating in a new industrial revolution. That new industrial revolution is now again coming back to us, and that is what I call the fourth industrial revolution. India is in a sweet spot. Next 50 years will create wealth that has not been created in last 10,000 years. The way 1650 to 1950 created more wealth than the wealth that was created before that entire wealth for previous 10,000 years. Similarly, next 50 years will create as much wealth has been created in last 10,000 years. And India has young population, has a base in Aadhaar, and many other things. Now the society has become technology oriented, it is ready to go, we are not subjugated, and most wealth will be created by young people because they learn newer things, newer technologies. And that is where, for me, India is today prepared to do what is required and participate. Imagine if world's GDP is, world's wealth today is $360 trillion. In the next 50 years, it will create $360 trillion more, out of which if India creates 25%, then $90 trillion will be created by Indians alone. And current wealth of India is only $10 trillion. So we will be like $100 trillion country in terms of wealth, which will still be 15% of world's wealth. But still, we would have created huge, from currently around 3% to straight away 15% of world's wealth. And that is what I think is going to happen if we continue to work hard. We have created the base. Why do we include people? Why do we need to include people? It's because everyone can participate in this movement forward. We can all share the prosperity and not the poverty, which currently many of us seem to have idea on. One of the biggest issues of finance, not reaching out, even despite nationalization, despite many other things we keep on talking for the last 40, 50 years, is because of the cost. The cost of setting up a branch of a bank or an insurance company or a mutual fund or a stock exchange broker is humongous. In each city, in each town, now with automation, the cost has come down by literally 10,000 times. I mean, if it used to be 1 rupee earlier of, say, or 100 rupee earlier, now it has become 1 paisa or less. You are able to reach out very, very fast at a very low cost. Your transactions, which used to take huge amounts and also had a lot of errors, are now being eliminated because of the automation and the speed of transactions. That has improved so much that earlier, even in stockbroking, if you were in Chandigarh or in Jammu placing orders on BSE, you will get in 1992-93 confirmation probably in 3-4 days. Today, you get it in few seconds or few microseconds. Today, BSE is the fastest exchange in the world with 6 microseconds response. In 1 second, there are 10 lakh microseconds, 1 million microseconds. We give you response in 150,000 of a second. Our scale is 5 lakh orders per second. In 1 minute, I can take 3 crore orders. In 1 hour, I can take 180 crore orders. In 20 hours, I can take 20 multiplied by 18 crore. So 3,600 crore orders. So those are the kind of systems which India has developed now. The fastest, the best, and most scalable. But now, how do we use this? All the systems from Aadhaar, from CIBIL, from RBI. RBI's RTGS system is again extremely unique. Nowhere in the world. You can place you can transfer completely, confidently and confidentially money from one person's account to another person's account. NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India, and BHIM application put together is another way to make you transact with each other. Again, confidentially and also confidently. It is, this kind of revolutions that are happening currently in India, nowhere in the world it has happened that way. It is happening in a very controlled way, unlike a very haphazard way. And for me, we need to allow more and more such experiments, more and more such ways of doing things. NPCI, 10 years back, nobody would have even heard of. Today, almost 1 out of every 2 transactions, or probably 2 out of every 3 transactions are going through BHIM application. And that is the kind of scale you are able to achieve in a very, very short time. Why do you need people to be included? It's because you need to have ease of doing business. If you include them, everyone is able to transfer money straight away into each other's account. Government is able to collect taxes, but you need to have it for people to have income, for spending easily, for savings, for risk management, for collecting subsidies into their accounts, because we were told that out of every 100 rupees spent on Indian subsidies, probably 5 rupees reach the intended beneficiary. Now, practically 100 rupees, the entire 100 rupee can reach the intended beneficiary. The amount of sort of things that can happen through this is unbelievable. For me, Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile was that trinity which changed India's face completely, transformationally. Today we may not appreciate, but in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, people will suddenly, when they write history of India, because history is also going to change very fast now. The future used to come very slow. Now future is coming very fast. And financial inclusion as a backbone to a society which depends on trust, but trust doesn't get created on its own. Trust gets created by experiences, experiments, by creating systems, processes, that trust requires less and less. If you have collateral, you don't require trust. You can, against the collateral, you can actually lend money. You don't require to then know the person. But if the cost of collateralization is very high, or the process of collateralization takes you days or years, then that is not worth it. Collateralization, if it happens in microseconds, then you don't require basically the credit scores. And for me, those are the kind of innovations that are going to change. Just by giving credit score doesn't mean that that person is not going to default tomorrow. By giving credit rating, we have ensured that the lender is passing on his responsibility to credit rating agencies by paying some fees. But the defaults are continuing. So by just doing some credit score, it's not a magic. By thinking that it's trust, it's not a magic. Ultimately, you will have to figure out the faster collateralization, faster ways of not only funds movement, micro funds movement at the lowest cost. I mean, when we were doing IT even 30 years back, the biggest issue which we were trying to resolve was to do micropayments at the lowest cost. Today, you can literally transfer 1 rupee to somebody with almost zero cost. And that is the level of sophistication that has been achieved. Whatever dreams we had 30 years back when we started sort of independently doing IT for getting India together, today, most of it is actually achieved. Now, what are the next steps? And that is where we need to work on. For me, leapfrogging of technology, as I said, from when we were said, if everyone has PC, India will become rich. If everyone had electricity, India will become rich. If everyone had mobile phone, India will become rich. If everyone had telephone, India will become rich. But today, a society which gives ease of living life, of managing risk, of health, like Ayushman Bharat, for me, is going to work on Aadhaar. Again, subsidy distribution for children's education, for even the farmers' subsidies which are going to be distributed are going to be done on Aadhaar. And for me, those kind of innovations based on Aadhaar are going to take India way forward, giving ease of life to most of its poor citizens, because the rich citizens already have the ease. It's basically the masses. We need to actually get them included. And that is where we have taken a huge leap over last 10, 15 years, but especially in last 4 or 5 years by implementing all these things. The BSE itself, just to give you a perspective, mutual fund distribution, nowhere in the world happened through exchanges in equities on the actively managed funds. I'm getting too technical for the audience here, but day before yesterday, we did 7.8 lakh transactions of mutual funds in one single day. 7.8 lakh transactions in one day. It's not only giving score or something. It's like taking money from the customer's account, putting it into the mutual funds account, taking units from the mutual funds, putting it into the customer's accounts. The entire process of all those 7.8 lakh transactions got over in pretty much one day. And the response time when you place orders is few seconds. Last year, BSE did 1.8 lakh crore worth transactions of mutual funds. If it was a fintech company coming out of Bangalore, it would be worth few $100 billion. But because it is BSE, it is 144-year-old, people don't think it is called fintech. But all the stuff which, I mean, when government does it, we don't call it fintech. When government does it, we start opposing it. But effectively, all these activities, even in equities, today, you are able to transact in, as I told you, in microseconds, get all your stocks in your depository accounts. Bonds, you can subscribe to government bonds on your mobile directly through BSE. You can subscribe to gold bonds. Instead of having physical gold, which needs to be kept in vaults or get stolen, if you keep it in government bonds, what we call sovereign gold bonds, you not only get the gold's value, but also you get some interest which government pays you. It is phenomenal that today government is actually giving you gold bonds. BSE is around 4.13 crore customers registered with it. And they can trade not only in equities, but derivatives, currencies, interest rates, mutual funds, now also in commodities. So if you want to buy guar gum, guar seeds, tomorrow it will be cotton, anything you want to buy or sell, you will be able to do it on BSE. So slowly, BSE is not only getting into, from finance, it's getting into the real life. And tomorrow, it also has the hopes to give you a procurement for states in terms of giving the best price to the farmers and to ensure that the farmers themselves get the prices or the money rather than the intermediaries and so on and so forth. BSE is also set up SME platform for small companies to raise funds, create wealth. For startups to, there is a startup platform for BSE where you can, even small startups like 1 crore rupees if you want, or 50 lakh rupees you want, can come raise money on BSE and create wealth for yourself. And so there are many, many things which BSE is today doing using this new technology framework, using Aadhaar, using many other technological solutions which are available at the government level or government agencies level, regulator level, as well as in private sector, to combine them all into ensuring that India moves forward. For that, BSE has also set up a new incubator. Last 4 years since that incubator is set up at BSE's 18th floor, almost 300 plus companies have been funded through that incubator, where young entrepreneurs, 2, 3, 5 of them, get together, do not have a place to sit, BSE gives them place to sit, but BSE also gives them mentors, the best marketing people, best sales people, best accounts people, best lawyers. They all come in and do it out of their sense of volunteering, because they want to contribute to India, to young entrepreneurs. They want to be in association with young technologies. And that's where BSE has set up this incubator. It is now amongst the most successful incubators in India over the last 4 or 5 years. But it has also set up now a new incubator in Varanasi with the Banaras Hindu University and Niti Aayog to also create more entrepreneurship in that part of India. So BSE will continue to do its job, but for me, the actual congratulations are due to the government agencies and government for thinking through in a very organized way what is required for India to include people financially in a confident and confidential way. So thank you very much.